D-Learners, it's your girl, Lady D. What's up, D-Learners? It's your girl, Lady D of DTalford Training Solutions. Today, I am here to talk to you about my son's transition from being an unschooled homeschooler to doing an online homeschool program. So if you have seen my why I quit homeschooling my ninth grader video, you'll know that my son decided to transition from being an unschooled homeschooler to doing an online program for his ninth grade year. So with that has come some just benefits and challenges that I want to share with you guys and help you guys understand what you're getting into if you decide to put your child in an online program or back into some kind of public school or charter school online program for their high school career. So one thing that we had to do was create a schedule. As unschoolers, yes, I made sure that my children dibbled and dabbled in every topic of a curriculum, which would be, your math, science, some kind of social studies or history, a foreign language, reading, writing, those basic things that children need to know to be able to function in society. However, because we switched to an online program, we have to take certain classes in the ninth grade. So we did have to have my son meet with a guidance counselor. Now, depending on which online program you do, you might do this face-to-face, or you might do this online or via Skype or some other kind of technological way. Because Charlotte-Mecklenburg Virtual High School is not that far from us, we went and had a meeting face-to-face with the guidance counselor and picked his schedule. So based on his interests, he got to make choices of whether or not he took honors or regular classes. However, there were certain things he has to take, like math, world history, environmental science, English class. These are what ninth graders have to take in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. So he did have to pick one of those classes. He got to pick which semester he took which class and what combinations he took together. Now, for his electives, he did get to pick his electives. The guidance counselor did make some suggestions, and she suggested a sociology class. And my son did go ahead and take the sociology class, as I think that's one of the electives. And he's taking a career management class as well. And I can't really remember if the career management was one of the eventually required classes or an elective class. But it definitely goes along with how we run our homeschooling, unschooling life, is knowing what you want to do in your career. So I'm really actually excited that he chose this class for ninth grade, because then it can help him kind of make thoughts and have kind of a trajectory of what do I need to do to really be in this career. So another thing that's important is kind of a self-assessment. So you can do this with your child. You can purchase a self-assessment online. I think that I know the Iowa Test of Basic Skills has some kind of career assessment, and there's just a whole bunch of different assessments online for different and varying costs that you can do to get a career or kind of self-assessment. The most important thing is kind of coming up with traits that your child has, and kind of rating themselves on how good they are at these things. So the traits that we looked at were self-motivation, self-direction, self-advocacy, organization, time management, and ability and willingness to get work done. So we had my son look at those different traits and kind of decide where he felt he fell on a scale of 1 to 5 with those traits, and what he thought, he needed to improve in, and what he was going to need our help with. So that was part of what we did with him to try to get him transitioned well. So we went to an orientation at the school, and they talked about some things that were important, like some keys to success that they felt were good for kids who were transitioning to an online program. Some of those things that the school talked about was reaching out to teachers, consistently checking your emails, learning how to take notes, finding a quiet and effective workspace, and kind of having a daily schedule. Now, in my Unschooling homeschool, we already had a schedule that we all created together because there were things that my boys wanted to get done during the day, and because two of my boys have ADHD, not my son that's in high school right now, but my other two, they felt that it would be helpful for them to be able to see what they were going to do all day. And then that way they can manage the things they wanted to do within getting some of the chores done and their hygiene done and things like that. And I have all of our schedule in a separate video. But the schedule part now, instead of him doing his unschool life and just doing his lead learning, whatever he wanted to do during his academic opportunities, now his academic opportunities are focused on getting online and doing his schoolwork. Now, effective workspace. So he has a dedicated workspace. It is in his bedroom. He's got a laptop that the school gave him and a hotspot that the school gave him. He also has his own laptop, a home laptop, and we have a home computer. So he can use any one of those devices. He's got a twin size bed in his room, and he's got plenty of floor space. So at any given time, he may be on his bed, he may be at his desk, or he may be on the floor. He does not yet have, I'm thinking about getting him some kind of like beanbag chair or cushion chair so he can have another alternative of somewhere to sit. He is welcome to sit anywhere in the house, but because when he used to want to get away kind of from everybody, from his brothers, his room is his sanctuary. It is a a nice little small size room. It's very comfortable for him, and he loves to do his work in his room and his concentration in his room, and he's been doing it like that for a long time, so that's no issue for him. But there are spaces in our house where he can go. I've transitioned my home over. It is no longer child-centered as much. It is more adult-centered. So there are lots of places where he can go sit on a couch or sit on a chair and bring a folding table, because there's not a whole bunch of toys and junk around like there was when my kids were younger. Establishing a routine. I talked in my other video about our Unschooling homeschool routine. The routine really has not changed. Waking up, eating, doing your personal fitness, doing your personal hygiene, doing your academic opportunity, taking a break, doing some more academics, taking a break, and going to sports and activities in the evening. That's all still the same in our house. So that there's been no change with that. Taking notes has been a big deal because that is not something that I made a big deal about before, but now my son really had to learn how to take notes. So the way I did this, I started having him practice take notes in 8th grade when they would watch documentaries. I would encourage them to just get a notebook and keep it with them, and then when they saw something they felt was interesting, take a note about it. So he's got a little bit of background with taking notes. But basically, I went back to what I do to study, which is making flashcards. So whenever a concept comes up in one of his online videos, or if there's a concept in the reading, instead of taking notes in a notebook, which he does have a notebook, but he only has one 5-subject notebook because he's going to be using flashcards most of the time. Then within each of the courses, it's really cool. The screen is split. So after he reads a passage, there's an area where he can take notes off to the side. But for him, those notes are going on flashcards. That way, when he's in the car, when he's waiting around for one of his sports activities to start, he can go over those flashcards, and then even we can quiz him on them and ask him questions, and he can use those flashcards to reteach the information, which is a true sign that he's learned the information. So note-taking has been important. One thing that he's struggling with that I want him to do more of is contact his teachers, because he's such a self-directed learner and really only came to me and my husband for very limited things when he was unschooling. He does not contact his teachers as much as I think he should. I do encourage him when he has questions, email her, that's what they're there for. He's not yet there with the comfortability of doing that. He will come to me or his father or wait for us because that's what he's used to. He's been homeschooling. He trusts us. He still hasn't built that level of trust with the teachers yet. But these so far have been very nice teachers. They have responded to his questions and emails. So when I do get him to email them or text them, they do respond. So that's good. Attendance. So even though my son has been doing work every day, it's taken a lot for him to stay caught up with the class. So they expect you to be working about 6 hours a day, which is a lot of sit down time. My kids are not used to that. Yes, we have personal academic opportunities for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes of straight concentration, but during those personal academic opportunities, my kids were doing the things they were interested in. So they were reading a book they were interested in, they were doing activities. It just meant that time was dedicated to something to enhance your learning. It was still unschooling because it was still child-led and it was still a time that they wanted to do it. Now my son has to do some more sit-down concentration stuff, more hours of that, and it's a lot of reading, which he only really read maybe 30 minutes to an hour at most every day. Now he's spending lots of time reading. He only watched one video a day. Now it's read video. So that is very different. Taking notes, again, it's become something that he's gotta get used to. So what happens in his particular school is you see a green bar if you're up to date and a red bar if you're behind. So as soon as it'll be green, it's like it'll turn red. So that's been the struggle with us. And then some of the tests and quizzes, we did not do tests except for once a year. North Carolina required us to do one standardized test a year. We did the Iowa test of basic skills. So my kids would test prep for that maybe for 2 weeks in June, take the test and be done with testing and not test any other time of the year or quiz. The way I knew my kids were learning is that they could then tell me everything that they learned about and teach other people and talk to other people about it. So that is more, qualitative learning, whereas this is more, what would be called quantitative learning. Like I need to see specific answers to this test, which has been a challenge for us. So expectations. The expectations have been a little bit different, a little bit more work. Definitely things that he is not necessarily used to. Like being able to type in Word. So there really wasn't anything that I had them typing up much in Word. Maybe they would type a speech here and there. They mostly wrote out their reports and things that they were gonna do. They wrote in notebooks. So I had to pretty much start from scratch in teaching him how to open up Word, start a document in Word, save things in Word. One of his first assignments was a PowerPoint presentation about the careers he is interested in. He was actually really excited to do this PowerPoint presentation, and he wrote out all of his slides in a notebook, and then I had to start from scratch, show him how to open up PowerPoint, show him how to write out what he needed to say for PowerPoint, write out his slides and things of that nature. So we did all of that. Another thing that we were doing is he had to do a pamphlet for his world history class. Again, this has only been 3 weeks in and he's already done one Word document, one PowerPoint presentation, and had to do one pamphlet. So this is a very rigorous program. The reason I'm still okay with things is because these are real life things. In real life, you have to be able to write a document. In real life, you have to be able to present your information to your job or to other people in a PowerPoint and have it look nice. In real life, I mean, at my job, there's pamphlets all over the place from different programs. So these are real life things that he's gonna have to do. So I'm still good with the way Charlotte-Mecklenburg Virtual High School does things. They're doing it in conjunction with the North Carolina Virtual Public School. So some of his classes are on the CMS platform, some are on the virtual school platform. But any online program that you do may be in conjunction with another online program. They all kind of intermingle with each other. So my biggest excitement about what's been happening so far with his transition from true unschooling to more of an online school has been the fact that the things that they're teaching him seem very practical. They don't seem overly saturated and Common Core. So far, the things that he's learning seem to give a broad perspective of some things and bring in different sources. There's lots of YouTube videos that he's watching and clips. So that's things that I did already. I do like that he's learning real life things like how to make a PowerPoint, how to write in Word, how to make a pamphlet, because those are the things that I value, because those are the things people have to do at work at almost most jobs if you're not in a skill-based job. And even for some skill-based jobs, you may have to do a PowerPoint to present some new information. So I'm very excited that he's learning that things that we were not really so worried about, and we were actually going to have him start doing maybe in 11th or 12th grade. He's just doing it in 9th grade, and he made that decision. So the biggest challenge has been note taking. So any videos or tips that you can give your child for how to take notes will help them and benefit them during this process, because note taking has been the biggest thing, being able to take good notes and review those notes so that when it's time for the quiz or the test, that he knows where to find the information. Because in the society today, you don't have to memorize everything. That's ridiculous. We have technology with us all the time. You just have to know how to siphon out what is accurate information and to find your resources and to pull your resources and to find your information, which are some of the things that he is learning in the virtual high school. So I am very, very excited that he's learning these things. If you have questions, go ahead and link them down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. You are the most important person in a young child's life, and it is up to you to help them reach their potential.